Plato, a fascist. Plato supported fascism. Plato supported totalitarianism. Plato supported absolute authority. And Plato is the father of fascism. He was criticized by Karl Popper. As Plato supported, or the idea of fascism was originated in the West because of Plato. Karl Popper accused Plato in his book Open Society and Its Enemies. That Plato supported fascism. But before accusing Plato, we have to understand what is fascism. So, without any further delay, let's discuss whether Plato was a fascist or not. Can someone accuse Plato as a fascist or not? Hello and welcome to the StateCraft Simplified with Dr. Ajaya. Let's understand what is fascism. What is fascism? Fascism is a type of political system. It's a political system where the government is controlled by a strong leader or a political party. The government is controlled by an individual or a particular political party which uses total power, which uses absolute power, absolute authority, unrestricted, unlimited power without any opposition. The opposition has no role to play, and it is completely limited, completely restricted the individual freedom. It is sacrificed individuality. Personal freedom, liberty for the sake of state. State is above the individual. State is above the individual rights, individual freedom and individuality. And it also talks about extreme nationalism, or you can say ultra nationalism. Which basically creates a sense of love towards his own country and hatred towards others. And the fascism or the ideology, or you can say fascism, the propaganda of fascism uses violence and fear to rule. Although mostly the fascist ruler or fascism, the ruler who became a fascist, they come by democratic means through democratic elections, and later on they became fascist and they start using the fear and violence to rule, to regain their power. For example, Italy under Benito Mussolini. Italy under Benito Mussolini and Germany under Adolf Hitler. These two, during the interwar period between the First and Second World War, they justified their rule in the name of nationalism. They justified the absolute authority, the absolute power in the name of security, in the name of national security. Plato's idea, Plato's political program is hardly superior to fascism. There is a similarity between Plato's program, Plato's political idea and fascism. In fact, it is identical to it. There is a similarity. It's identical. Fascism and the political ideals propagated by Plato. Fascism, it is a type of social political system, as we already discussed, which was prevailed during the interwar period under Benito Mussolini in Italy and Hitler in Germany. The essence of fascism is totalitarianism. The essence of fascism is totalitarianism. But what is totalitarianism? Totalitarianism implies an extremely exploitative system where people have no right and liberty. Where people have no right and liberty. Extreme exploitation. The own subjects are being exploited. There is no right or liberty. There is a complete censorship over right and liberties. There is no personal choice, no personal freedom, and politics neglect ethics. They believed ethics and morality has no role in statecraft. But how Plato's idea, how Plato's political program is identical to totalitarianism, to fascism. The Western scholars like Karl Popper and Issa Berlin, they compared Plato and fascism. They compared Plato's philosophical ideas with fascism and totalitarianism. In the same manner, they argued that Plato's idea, Plato's political program is not at all superior to fascism. In fact, it is identical to it. The first argument made by Popper and Issa Berlin, Plato's state is absolute. Absolute. That state is superior. There is unrestricted power. The power is unrestricted. Nobody can oppose him. Nobody can oppose the state. Plato also supported the power of the philosopher king. Plato advocated for unlimited power to the philosopher king. Secondly, like a fascist state, a fascist nation, like fascism, Plato in Athens advocated that citizens have only duties, no rights. Citizens, they need to perform their duties without rights. Plato never discussed about rights. He only talks about duties. The individual must perform their duty. The individual must perform as per the duties assigned to them on the basis of education. Third point, how fascism and Plato's political philosophy became identical, the myth of racial superiority. Adolf Hitler in Germany, he believed in German superiority, the superiority of German race. He said that one German is equal to 100 of Europeans and one German is equal to thousands of barbarians. He believes in the superiority of German race. In the same manner, Plato advocated in his communism the ablest man and ablest woman, the eugenic concept. And finally, Plato denied personal freedom, not even in the sphere of private matters, in private or personal matters like family and marriage, particularly for the guardian class, where Plato believed that the state will decide who will be the mating partner for the guardian class. That's why the Western liberal scholars like Popper, like Isa Berlin, they compared Plato's political philosophy, Plato's political ideas, quite similar to modern fascism. But can you truly say that Plato as a fascist, Plato supported fascism, or Plato was the father of fascism? Plato's political philosophy, his political ideals or political philosophy is not exactly similar to fascism. It's not exactly fascism because Plato aimed to create a just and virtuous society. A just and virtuous society which was led by wisdom, not by violence and nationalism. Ultra-nationalism. He said Plato advocated the system of education to inculcate virtue among the people, to inculcate knowledge, wisdom in philosopher king. As a result, in future the philosopher king can rule not by violence but by wisdom, not by ultranationalism but by virtue. Second, fascism uses violence, dictatorship and racism. Fascism in the 20th century, the 20th century fascism, be it Italy or Germany, be it Mussolini or Hitler, they advocated and they used violence, dictatorship, racism, war to justify their rule, to justify fascism. Plato does not support war or violence, the use of violence. He focused on wise rulers. He focused on wise rulers. He cared about the rulers being good and wise. Good and wise. While fascism has brutal leaders, you can say evil leaders, does not respect wisdom, does not respect freedom, does not respect wise person. As a result, Karl Popper, in his book Open Society and its Critique, published in 1945, he advocated Plato is the father of fascism. But Ronald Bartlett Levinson, in his book In Defense of Plato, advocated that fascism, the 20th century, fascism and Plato's concept or Plato's philosophy is not similar. Both are differ in time and space. And it is like comparing the uncomparable, which is invalid, which cannot be justified. Cannot be justified. Emerson, he also said that Plato is philosophy and philosophy is Plato. That's the importance of Plato. Philosophy and Plato, they both are one and all. That's the importance of Plato. And we cannot blindly agree to the viewpoint of Karl Popper as Plato as the father of fascism. Writings of Whitehead, we can understand the importance of Plato and Aristotle in the Western political philosophy. He said, Western political philosophy is the footnote to Plato as well as Aristotle. That's the importance of Plato and Aristotle. Further, Karl Popper called Plato as the enemy of open society. In his book, Open Society and Its Enemies, which was published in 1945. Who is Karl Popper? We already discussed. He is the 20th century philosopher. The 20th century philosopher. The famous book, Open Society and Its Enemies, which was published in 1945. He criticized the totalitarian tendencies in Plato's political philosophy. He is a, we can say, modern liberal. Karl Popper is a modern liberal thinker or philosopher, and he tried to find out the roots of totalitarianism and anti-democratic ideas in Western world, and he accused these totalitarian ideas, the totalitarian notion and anti-democratic ideals was originated from Plato and his political philosophy. Before that, we need to understand what is open society. What is an open society? Open society, which is open, which is free, where there is a freedom of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship, speech, criticism, everything. That there is personal freedom. That is personal liberty, that you can criticize the government. You have freedom of speech and expression. Speech and expression. You can freely express your views. Where the government has limited power. The government has limited power. Limited power, and it respects the individual. It also respects the individual liberty. It also respects the individual freedom, where those who are in power, the ruling class can be peacefully changed. They can be replaced by another group of people, by another set of people, and the mistakes made by the government should be rectified through debate and discussion, rather than violence and war, or rather than violence and war. Why Popper criticized Plato? Why Popper criticized Plato? He criticized Plato because of his political philosophy, when Plato advocated that the rule of the philosopher king, and he assigned unlimited power in the hands of the philosopher king, and the state had a strict control over the lives of people. Plato fixed the social classes, where he divided the society into three classes: the philosopher class, the soldier class, and the producer class. And most importantly, Plato sacrificed individuality for the sake of state. He advocated state is more important than the individual, and the philosopher queen should not be criticized, should not be opposed. They are above law because they are men of wisdom. In his book, The Open Society and Its Enemies, he criticized Plato, Hegel, and Karl Marx as the enemies of open society. Ronald Bartlett Levinson advocated Plato and totalitarianism and fascism cannot be compared. They both are differ in time and space. In his book, In Defense of Plato, he advocated the political philosophy of Plato was the need of that hour, which cannot be compared in the current scenario. Was Plato a feminist? Who is a feminist? And how Plato is a feminist? In his Republic, he said that women can rule. Women should be trained to become philosopher queens. He does not see any kind of disability, any kind of natural disability in women. He advocated for both philosopher king and philosopher queen, and both men and women have the same education, which was free. There is no discrimination on the basis of sex, on the basis of gender. Education is free to all, for both men as well as women. And women can serve as a soldier, guardian, and leader. Women can serve as a soldier, as a guardian, and leaders. He can be a philosopher queen. Women can serve as a soldier, can join the producer class as well. He believed that biological differences between men and women does not mean intellectual and moral differences. Both men and women, they both are differ in biological sense, but not on intellectual and moral grounds. And his idea providing or treating women equally as per their counterpart is really a revolutionary idea, because the ancient Greece was highly patriarchal, male dominant society, which was a male dominant society. Plato argued that the soul has no gender, The soul has no gender. Both men and women can develop virtues like wisdom, courage, and justice. That's why he supported both philosopher king and philosopher queen. He supported women can serve as a soldier, and if women have the same natural abilities, they should get the same opportunities. That's why he provided equal opportunities, education. Some said that Plato was not a feminist. Plato was not a feminist in the modern sense, as per the modern notion. Why? There is a concern. Plato still saw women as generally weaker. Physically, they are weak. Plato believed that intellectually, morally, emotionally, they might be similar with their counterparts, but physically they are weak. They cannot compete with their male counterparts in terms of physical power, physical strength. His view was not based on equality for individual freedom, but on how to best serve the state. He advocated equality of opportunities for both men and women, but not for equality, not for the purpose of treating both the sexes equally. It is helpful, but it serves the state better. That's why he supported equality. That's why he promoted equality. The family structure was controlled. No personal marriage, no traditional family life. No personal family life, no personal marriage, no personal husband or wife. And finally, the equality was for the guardian class, not for the ordinary women in the society. The guardian class, they consist of the top two classes in Greek society, in Athenian society, the philosopher class or the philosopher kings and the soldier class. This equality of opportunities was not applicable to the producer class, the peasants, artisans and farmer class. That's why we cannot categorize Plato as a feminist in the true sense. Thank you. For PDF, please find the link below. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.